that are, I would say, Braun Strowman. He, I don't think he needs to come back. He was very entertaining and he did what he did well, but they used him as a monster spot, pretty much just to really feat their strength and to have those entertaining bouts. But it was just, I think maybe he just suffered too many injuries. Because
Think
even
so?
when he was performing, he always looked like he was moving slow to me, and I've always been very vocal about that. I like some of the stuff he did. I think that they dropped the ball with him because he had the potential. Like when he first came out, he was white hot. I remember those days, and people were clamoring for him to be the one to take the title from Brock, and he was the number one contender, but they had Brock beat him, and I think that would have been next level and made him into a mega star overnight. Like he's the one who beat Brock. He believable. He had the size, and he could have
Yeah.
done it, but they just chose not to. Of course, he was a little bit more green, but they've taken chances with other people, and I think that would have benefited them much more. And then he eventually did win the title as like a consolation because Roman Reigns couldn't wrestle Goldberg. I think it was WrestleMania, and that was just fumbled because they announced that he was going to fight Goldberg the day of, even though it was kind of like leaked that Roman wasn't going to wrestle that weekend at
Uh-huh.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But then, like the day, I was like, oh well, Braun Strowman's wrestling it. I know it was a pandemic and it was a crazy time, but he was dealt a very bad hand, and then they brought him back, and he started to get a little bit of traction, but yeah, he's never really did anything of note outside of that. And then Jakara Jackson, that was a huge one for me because she's in an established tag team. She just was featured in an angle on NXT this week, and then wasn't she the one who said that they need to go their separate ways?
I don't know if it was her that brought up the idea. I think it was more of a joint decision that they all had already had it came to terms with. But I think
Okay.
that was the reason why they did it because they knew she was going to get released. So they pretty much broke it. I think they kind of did her like a farewell type of thing
Like
where her
Raymond
still
Ross.
being yeah. That's why I was like, because everybody
But
was
why?
confused. Everybody was confused, like, what? Why are they breaking up? And then a week later, like, oh no,
Not even a week.
yeah, 3 days later, she gets released. Like, oh, and I was like, and I commented, I was like, damn, she acting like they broke up the 98 Bulls or something.
Like
Like,
the Isley brothers or something.
yeah, like goodness gracious, she was on social media like, yeah, I still can't believe this is happening. Like, yeah, but I see why. They getting released. Shit.
It is
But yeah,
crazy
crazy.
because in a time where the women's tag division is suffering, and I think you said something like this on Threads where they have their champion who's not on the show currently. Because
Yep.
that one, Jakara, what just makes no sense because in a tag division that needs established tag teams, she was she was pretty over, and she was one of the more physically dominant women on the roster. Uh, I don't know how the decision was made to cut her and then to keep her partner. Not saying they should fire her partner too or release her, but I just find it really strange how it's a repeated thing where they'll release one member of a team and
They
keep the
didn't.
other, and then they don't do anything with the other person. So kind of like they did this with that for one the Pure Fusion Collective. They did that with them. They did this with who I just had this. They did it with somebody else recently too. I don't recall who it was,
Mm.
but yeah, keeping
Be
one member.
be be mindful that Zoe's still on the roster too.
She is.
Zoe Stark, yeah. So
Yeah.
are they gonna do something with her? Is she gonna show up on television on Monday Night
No.
Raw?
No.
No. She gonna wait to the she gonna still be off TV till the next cuts come around. She gonna be cut.
Yeah. They're gonna flounder her for around for a while and have her bounce back and forth and might use her sparingly when they need somebody like a warm body in the place, but they don't have any real plans for her.
To fill if they have like a women's Royal Rumble for a title.
Don't
Who?
Isla Dawn and
Oh
Alba
yeah,
Fire.
yep, Isla Donna Alba Fire.
It's just like they released her part. Why? They were a team at first. I know I made jokes about them, but they were an established team. They had it going for them. They were serviceable. I wasn't necessarily like their biggest fan or anything like that, but if they had plans to utilize them and were doing something with them, like yeah. But it's a very strange choice when you have a tag team act that's working and then you release the person because it's like you're stifling the other person. That's part of what's gotten them where they're at.
Yeah.
And then they have to explain or they kind of have to adjust because they're impacted by the real life release of their partner.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to the tag team titles anymore, so now you have to work your way back up and kind of develop your own identity as a singles wrestler, which I mean some of them may or may not have. So it puts them in a really strange spot.